Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. I'm bringing you guys our Week 6 team builder or pregame press conference for the NPA. The Minnesota Vikavolts are taking on the Iowa Hawluchas. My good friend BradyOActiv. BradyOActiv, as we always like to say when he jumps into the stream. But we just came off a pretty good matchup against Jodor and the Seattle Sea Kings. I was very glad that we were able to pick up a W. We won 4-0 in a pretty commanding matchup, and I'm hoping we can continue that momentum for the rest of the season, as your boys got to make the playoffs. We got to make the playoffs. There's no reason we shouldn't. We should really be grinding it out and making sure we do our best. So I think the team is ready to rock, and I am ready to rock. So hit that like button if you're excited for tomorrow's match, and let's take a look at Brady's team. He's got a Thunderous Eye or Thunderous Incarnate. Prankster ability does get Prankster T-Weave. Can be a bit annoying there. Could be a setup sweeper as well with things like Nasty Plus. We do have to be pretty cautious there, but I have a very good response to that thing in Gudra, so I'm not too concerned. I've also got a Crocodile, which can take on those ledge type moves. He's got a Pelipper. Pelipper, of course, gets that drizzle ability, making it rain, making me have to deal with some weather shenanigans, kind of making it so bringing something like Sand Slash is a bit kind of unfeasible because of that. But nevertheless, Pelipper obviously got a huge buff this gen, having drizzle, being able to fire off hurricanes and powerful scalds and hydro pumps and things like that. He's got a Bruxish, very kind of confusing pick. I think a lot of people were surprised when he drafted Bruxish. I personally think it's trash, but you never know. He does have it on his team. It could end up being pretty good. Watch me get swept by it. But in all seriousness, it's 92 base speed, so it does speed tie with Crocodile. Hits relatively hard because of its strong jaw ability, but can be used scarfed or like banded or life orb or something like that with that strong jaw. And it does have the psychic fangs, which do break through our Aurora Veil, so that could be kind of interesting. It's got a Registeel, which is kind of a big problem. Registeel is really bulky, dude. Like running some calcs against that thing, very bulky, but it doesn't have reliable recovery outside of rest, so we could probably make it work and just try to wear it down as best as we can, and hopefully like take advantage of just good switches. Registeel can also be set up fodder too if you like if you find the right opportunity for it. He's got a Ludicolo, of course. Ludicolo benefits from the rain, gets that double speed with Swift Swim, can be really fast and hard to beat. But we do have a good response in that, as I said in Gudra. He's got the Golurk. Golurk is a very good Pokemon. Rock Polish Golurk can be really good. It hits pretty hard. Its typing, it leaves a little bit to be desired. Definitely not the best typing in the world, but can be a pretty offensive threat. Gets a lot of different options with punching options. Can be like dynamic punch, no guard. He's got the Nihilego or UBO1 Symbiont, I believe it's called. Nihilego rocks 103 base speed, making it pretty quick, but it's got really paper thin physical defense. Has a pretty high special attack stat, and of course that like Moxie for special attack essentially, or whatever, beast boost, right? So we have to be very careful around Nihilego. Keldeo, 108 base speed, very hard hitting special attacker, but usually pretty standard in terms of what it's going to run, like Scald, Hydro Pump, potentially Secret Sword or Sacred Sword, whichever one it's called. So you kind of know what it's going to run most of the time, but still a big threat, one of the best OU Pokemon. Lurantis, of course, grass type Pokemon with access to Defog, is one of his hazard removers. Not too much to be concerned about, as Lurantis is just not that great of a Pokemon just in general. He's got a Ribombee, really fast Pokemon in Ribombee, but again, one of those Pokemon that, you know, not the strongest Pokemon, but could be pretty scary with some Quiver Dances. And he's also got a Delphox, of course, Delphox being a pretty quick Pokemon, Psychic and Fire typing, having the ability to hit really hard, especially with a Life Orb or Calm Mind boost. It can be really effective, and he can run like a Power Herb set with like Solar Beam and stuff, so we do have to be very cautious around that. In terms of what I expect him to bring, I think we're going to see the Keldeo, I think we're going to see the Nihilego and the Thunderous. I think we're going to see the Registeel for sure. Sorry, very parched today. And then maybe Pelipper, maybe Bruxish. I don't really see Ludicolo coming. Maybe Golurk. I don't really see Ribombee coming or Lurantis coming, to be perfectly honest. But I think we'll probably see the Nihilego, the Keldeo, the Thunderous. Registeel for sure. And that's pretty much the gist of what I think he's going to bring and kind of my team breakdown. Let's talk about our team and why I'm bringing the Pokemon I'm bringing. First thing I looked at when I saw his team, Gudra. Gudra, baby. Gudra looks really good against his team. Gudra gives me a huge specially defensive Pokemon to take on Thunderous, to take on Pelipper, to take on Nihilego, to take on Keldeo, to take on Ludicolo, to take on Delphox without Psyshock, which I'm sure he'll have. I mean, it's just ridiculous what this Gudra can do to his team. Fire Blast, Thunderbolt, Dragon Pulse, Earthquake. I know we're modest, so Earthquake might not make a lot of sense, but Earthquake does the most to Nihilego, and it does a lot to Delphox, so Earthquake does make sense in those two scenarios. Fire Blast is there for things like Registeel, Lurantis, and things like Rabombi, Thunderbolt, obviously, for Pelipper, Dragon Pulse to hit things like Thundurus, you know, etc. Pretty straightforward stuff there. Sap Sipper allows us to pretty much wall Ludicolo. Even Ice Beam doesn't do anything. Like, you know, it's ridiculous how good Goodra is against this team. So very excited to bring Goodra this week. We're also gonna be bringing Rafiki, who is turned to be one of the stars of the show here. Close Combat, U-turn, Mach Punch, Thunder Punch. Of course, we've got the U-turn there to just kind of gain momentum as if we think he's gonna make a switch into something. He doesn't really have the best switch-ins to Rafiki. I obviously don't have Fire type stab though because of the rain. I figured it didn't really make a lot of sense. Even though we could hit things like Registeel, Close Combat hits some. Otherwise, Fire stab would have been okay for Thundurus. But again, I feel like Close Combat Thunder Punch will do enough damage. Excuse me. Sorry guys. Should do enough damage there. It's a yawny kind of day, guys. Yawny kind of day. Been super rainy lately. But yeah, U-turn for momentum. Mach Punch just to try to clean up at the end potentially. Also helps against things like Nihilego if he's like Scarf variant. Scarf Delphox, they can get some chip damage there. Otherwise we U-turn out on most things. Life Orb for just general damage. I tell you what though, Close Combat, Life Orb, Rafiki doesn't even one-shot some variants of Registeel. So Registeel is very, very bulky and definitely a problem, but Registeel usually can't do much bad to me except for the Thunder Wave, so we should be okay there. We've got our Ninetales, another Pokemon that kind of matches up really well against a lot of his team. He's got a few things that can switch in like Registeel, but otherwise like Freeze Dry demolishes his team. As you could probably see, Freeze Dry against the Keldeo. This is ridiculous, the yawns. Freeze Dry against the Keldeo, against the Pelipper, the Bruxish, the Ludicolo. It's like ridiculous how much it hits. Blizzard obviously for Golurk. Aurora Veil, Light Clay, 8 turns of Aurora Veil is awesome. I was thinking about going more offensive with Ninetales this week, but I like the Aurora Veil. The 8 turns of Aurora Veil is so good for the rest of the team. Hidden Power Ground helps us hit the Delphox, so it can't set up. It helps us hit the Registeel for like 25%, not really a lot, and it helps hit the Nihilego as well, things that resist our attacks. So Ninetales matches up really, really well against a lot of his team. We should have no problem getting that Aurora Veil up this match. We're gonna be bringing our Necrozma here, Eclipse, picking up 2 kills last week, which was quite awesome if you ask me. We're bringing a Calm Nature Eclipse here with the exact same defense and special defense stat, pretty much max HP. I basically kind of wanted them to be defensive on both sides, but mostly specially defensive. I could take 2 Life Orb Thunderbolts from Thundurus, which is really cool. I got the leftovers there. Moonlight is going to be a little tough to use with 2 Weather Setters, Pelipper and Ninetales, so that's a little bit tricky. So I didn't want to rely too much on Necrozma, but it is a good Pokemon that can take some hits. I got the Toxic there to potentially wear down other threats. Stealth Rocks is going to be crucial. Got to get those rocks up. He's got a couple weaknesses to rocks in Delphox, in Thundurus. Priority number 1 is get those rocks up. His only way to really get rid of them is to defog away with something like Pelipper, and if I could force that, that's going to be pretty good. Otherwise, Psyshock's just there for general damage. Hits the Nihilego, hits the Keldeo, which is some of the bigger threats, hits the Thundurus as well, some of the bigger threats that he might have, and again, things like Delphox will just Toxic them or whatever it may be. I'm not too concerned because things like Goodra can take those hits so well, and so much of my team does outspeed those Pokemon, so I'm not super duper concerned. We've got our Oxygen here, our Vaporeon, bringing the heat this week with Synchro Noise. You might not even know what Synchro Noise does, so let's take a look, because Synchro Noise is one of those moves that you probably have never seen before. Using an odd shockwave, the user inflicts damage on any Pokemon of the same type in the area around it. 120 base power move. So what we're going to be doing is we have Synchro Noise, so any water type Pokemon that I face with Vaporeon, I can use Synchro Noise and hit them with a 120 base power special attack Psychic type move, which of course is super effective against Keldeo, allowing Oxygen to beat Keldeo one-on-one when otherwise it could be very problematic with Sacred Sword. We can also hit things like Pelipper for good damage. We don't really do much to Bruxish. We're better off Scalding that. We're better off Scalding most things, but we can also have an option there. I kind of just wanted to run it because I thought it'd be funny to run it against things like Keldeo. I'm pretty sure he's going to bring it, and Vaporeon is one of my primary switch-ins to Keldeo, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to run Synchro Noise because it does hit it super effectively, and he might try to like it keeps him from setting up on me, which is nice. I've also got Roar there as well, mainly for Registeel. Again, Registeel, Curse Registeel with Rest, like Curse, Sleep Talk, Rest Registeel with like Iron Head could be really hard for my team to beat, especially with some tough luck because it's so bulky, especially if like Rafiki went down, so I'd have to be very cautious around that. So that's why I got the Roar there. Wish is great though, because Wish allows things like Goodra to have longevity. Oh my god, sorry guys. Wish allows for things like Goodra to have longevity in the match, which I think is really crucial as well. So I definitely like that, being able to heal that thing up. And last but most certainly not least, we're going to be rocking our Crocodile. Steve is back, baby. Earthquake, Knockoff, Pursuit, Stone Edge, Adamant, Moxie, Choice, Scarf. This is our late game clean right here. Knockoff demolishes things. Pursuit is great for things like Delphox. It's great for things like Bruxish. If I switch into them, I can Pursuit trap them, and they might expect me to be Scarfed and switch out or whatever it may be. I can try to reveal the Scarf early on. It's quite useful for those things. Stone Edge does one-shot Thunderous. It does a lot to Pelipper, especially if I get rocks up. Otherwise, Earthquake puts in the work, as you can imagine, against Nihilego. Does over 50% to Keldeo. So we got everything pretty much covered there. So Crocodile late game cleaner, and that's our team, man. Honestly, like, it's really gonna be about just trying to get momentum, get those rocks up early game, use Vaporeon, who's got a great matchup this week, to try to burn some things, stall him out a little bit, get those wishes up, keep Goodra healthy, give you know, things like Rafiki a chance to break some walls down, and then allow Crook to potentially sweep or clean up anything else that we might have to. I'm really confident about this match. I'm hoping we can pick up a W this week, and I hope you guys are excited for tomorrow's battle. Should be a lot of fun against BradyOActiv in the Iowa Hawluchas. Sorry for all the yawns as usual. I don't know what comes over me. It's always these team builders. It's usually never any other videos. It's always just the team builders. I don't know why, but thank you guys for watching. That's gonna be it for me, guys. My name is Dan. I also go by aDrive, and I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace.